Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Tuesday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp on the ones and twos. I'm officially ready to declare it's freezing outside. I can't do it. I don't like it. July is fine with me. I'm okay with 100. You people that like it when it's 50, I'm miserable. It's terrible out there.
I put the fire pit on last night. I was out there for about 2 minutes, and then too much wind, too much cold. I'm too spoiled down here in Louisiana. Let's get some
dark
humidity.
At like 4 o'clock. You people that like this, I don't know what to do with you. We got a loaded show here on a Tuesday. College football playoff talk. They'll announce the new rankings this evening. Billy Embody of On 3 will join us to talk recruiting at 2 o'clock, and Sharif Ishak will spend about 12 minutes crying at 2:30 with this because his Saints are not very good. But we'll kick things off with Glenn West of Go 247. He joins us each and every Tuesday. Glenn, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing great, guys. Maybe just throw on an extra jacket or something. I love this weather. This is the
I don't
right
want to
stuff
put
for
on
me.
another jacket. I don't want to have 14 layers on. I just want to be warm. That's really all I want. All right, it was not warm up in Fayetteville on Saturday, but LSU got it done. Your big picture reaction to the win, it certainly wasn't a clinic, but they did enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a classic case of, a team pulling out a win when you're not playing your best, and I think that's one of the themes that Coach Kelly wanted to bring to this group when he got here is that, not only did they want to be a better team in November, but they wanted to also win in the process. And so, yeah, you didn't get your best effort from the offense. It was a struggle for Jaden Daniels and company, but the Harold Perkins game, I think, will live in infamy in Baton Rouge for a very long time. That was a special performance that he put on Saturday, and certainly a lot to look forward to in terms of his future. And to have the defense have a performance like that, I thought was really telling. Really the last month or so, the offense has been the one that's getting all the praise for the improvements, and deservedly so. But for the defense to be able to carry LSU through a game like that, I think was extremely important as well.
Let's talk about the offense. What seemed to be the issue?
Yeah, so I think I kind of will lean on what Coach Kelly said. It sounds like the aggressiveness on the edge was something that really struggled. Something that LSU really struggled with in this game. I think for the first time you kind of saw those true freshmen O-linemen, look like true freshmen, and we've kind of been spoiled, I think, with their superb play all year. But there were some protection issues. There was some separation issues with the receivers in terms of not getting exactly the separation that they probably wanted in that game. And then Jaden, wasn't making the throws. It was, I think it was an all-around just kind of disappointing afternoon for them. Luckily, they had Josh Williams kind of pull him out of the weeds there. I thought he was spectacular running the ball in between the tackles. He's such a hard physical runner, and a guy that LSU is truly starting to lean on a lot more here as the season winds down. So I think that is probably the one good takeaway you could take away from the offense is the performance from Williams, but certainly they got to get the passing game back on track.
Denbrock getting a lot of hate in Baton Rouge this week, especially with that offensive performance. What do you think about his play calling on last Saturday? Or do you think it's more of the team and kind of the execution from the quarterback?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, when you're kind of noticing early on in the game that something's not working, you probably want to move off it a little bit quicker than what LSU was doing. Coach Kelly admitted to us after the game on Saturday and even on Monday that they were probably a little slow to the punch in terms of attacking what Arkansas was giving them. I mean, Arkansas was really aggressive on the edges, and kind of what that allows you to do is kind of open up the middle of the field a little bit more. LSU didn't really attack the middle of the field. They had some, like I said, some tough jobs separating from the corners, from the secondary. And, I think when you have a team that's, as aggressive as Arkansas was, you got to get the ball out quick. And there weren't a whole lot of screens or anything like that. So I think that was probably the one area that you could probably criticize in terms of Denbrock's play calling.
Do you think what Arkansas did as far as dropping into zone, putting a couple spies on Jaden Daniels, and kind of giving LSU the 4 or 5 yard carry is replicable with teams moving forward, A&M and Georgia?
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like it's something LSU anticipated. I mean, I think they weren't caught off guard by the structure of that Arkansas played. The 3-man front and dropping so many guys back. But I think the thing that kind of separated these last couple games from this one on Saturday was they were still being aggressive downfield, and you just didn't see that from LSU. And so on Saturday against the Razorbacks, I think they've got to get back to being more aggressive downfield. They've got to get Jaden more comfortable with making those throws, and he looked like he was for a stretch there. Now it's just about honing that thing back a little bit and getting back to what was working.
Glenn West, our guest, Go247 is where you can find him. Glenn, LSU defense got a break there with KJ Jefferson not playing and Arkansas being extremely limited at the quarterback position. But what you make of their overall effort on Saturday outside of Perkins, who was obviously a star?
Yeah, I mean, outside of Perkins, I mean, I thought the entire front seven was awesome. I mean, had Wingo in the middle there making some plays. Ojulari was making some plays on the edge. They were getting consistent pressure on them throughout the entire game, and really what they kind of put it over the top was the play of Greg Penn. Greg Penn I thought was really good at making those side-to-side tackles. We heard about just how athletic he was last year from a guy like Damone Clark telling us, the media, that he was kind of the next in line here at linebacker. And I think you really got to see a glimpse of what Greg Penn can be if he's a little bit more consistent. So really like that effort from him. And obviously Micah Baskerville's been one of your more consistent players all season. I thought he was really good. And, it was an important game. I mean, I don't know how much you can draw from the secondary, just because, like you said, the quarterback play was not very good from Arkansas this last weekend. But I think at the same time, that means that the secondary was holding up and doing its job. So overall, I would say it's probably one of the better efforts the LSU defense has put on the whole season.
We know the play of Roy and Wingo up the middle has been just absolutely sensational, but past that, not much depth on that defensive tackle position. Do you think that's something that could possibly hurt LSU for the latter half of the season?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, I think they've liked what Jacoby and Guillory has done in spurts, but I think you really got to hope that Wingo and Roy can stay healthy and be those every down guys for you the last 3-4 games of the season, however long you're going to be playing in the postseason. So, I mean, I think the bigger question for me is, can LSU continue to get pressure on the edge? And part of that answer is how well those guys are playing on the inside, how much they're freeing up those guys on the outside. So, I definitely think you got to have those two guys in particular, healthy for the rest of the year.
What are you looking for on Saturday against UAB? I know this UAB team can really run the football, but as far as LSU goes, it's more about them this week, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. UAB has a running back who's averaged almost 7 yards a carry and had 1,400 yards so far this season. So that's really nothing to sneeze at. So you've got to make sure you're at the middle of that defense, like Wingo and Roy. Those guys are ready to play and ready to slow down that running attack. But I'm going to be looking at the offense. I'm going to be looking at what kind of bounce back effort they can have this weekend. Certainly sounds like the emphasis this week in practice is to focus on themselves and focus on some wrinkles and potential ways that they can have some success in these last couple games of the year, and certainly getting off to a good start against UAB on Saturday is the ultimate goal.
Glenn West, our guest from Go247, with us each and every Tuesday here on Hunt and Hill. Saw you headed to the PMAC on Saturday. What have you made of Matt McMahon's team through 2 games?
Yeah, I think a work in progress. I guess I'll steal Matt McMahon's quote there, but I mean, I'm the size is going to be the biggest thing for me. How this team is going to be able to scheme around some of their lack of size. I mean, we've seen it the first 2 games now. KJ Williams, their big guy, a guy that they're expecting to score 15 to 20 points a night, has gotten in foul trouble early in both of those games. So you really can ill afford to lose him for long stretches of games, or the defense is going to struggle. You're not going to be able to hit the defensive glass as much as possible. And one of the things I asked Coach McMahon after the game last Thursday or Saturday, I can't remember when they played exactly, Saturday I think, was how are you going to combat that with the size issues that this team has? And they've really got it emphasize to the guards and to the wings to hit the glass. I mean, that's got to be an identity of this group, is to have a total team rebounding effort when the guys are out on the floor. So that's probably my biggest takeaway, is probably just the lack of size that's cropped up so far.
Look, star ratings don't mean everything in recruiting, but 5-star basketball players have a pretty alarming hit rate. They're usually really good players at the college level. And Tyrell Ward was a 5-star, has not really been a factor through 2 games here in Baton Rouge. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, they're looking for some consistency from Tyrell. I will say it was probably a little bit surprising not to see him in that rotation the first game. Barely got in during the second game. He's a long, rangy guy who I think could help you on the defensive end on the perimeter, and certainly help you offensively scoring the ball. But, we're not there every day in practice looking at what he's doing. And so I think there's certainly a motivation now for him to, kind of get to where, some of these other guys on the team are. I think it's about building trust. It's about finding your spot in the rotation and earning your spot and earning your minutes. And just doesn't sound like he's done that yet. So we'll see if that something that kind of changes here as non-conference play goes along.
A lot of Tiger fans anxious to see what Adam Miller could bring to this basketball team. How much of the scoring load do you think he's going to have to take for this basketball season?
A huge scoring load. He's going to have to be your offense for, I was a little bit, surprised at how good he's looked, I guess in his first 2 games back, but he's been fantastic. I mean, they've run some plays through him. I would like to see them, run even more of the offense through him in terms of creating for himself, but also for others. I think he's a really underrated passer, and so I think as the season goes along, Coach McMahon and his staff are smart enough to realize that will be the case, and so I think you're going to have to run a good portion of this offense through Adam Miller, and he's delivered. It's just 2 games, but he's looking like the guy that LSU was hoping to have last year, and certainly a guy who can help lead this team this year.
Glenn, we'll let you get to Coach McMahon. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's Glenn West, Go 247, leading us off here on a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Still got a couple more guests to get to in hour number 2. Billy Embody's going to be with us in about 45 minutes at the top of hour number 2 to talk about LSU's recruiting class. He and Shay Dixon over at On 3 have put in their class predictions, how they think LSU finishes this class. Used to be a little bit easier of an assignment because you just get to 25 and stop. That's not going to be the case with this class at LSU. They can sign as many as they want to get up to 85. So we'll get Billy's thoughts on why he put some of the names that he did in that. And then Sharif Ishak from WDSU talking Saints and Pels at 2:30. When we come back, college football playoff rankings tonight. As of 3 weeks ago, probably not a very relevant discussion. Now, fairly relevant here in Baton Rouge as LSU has captured the West and now 3 wins away from being in the discussion to be in the college football playoff. We'll talk about that next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Not the best time, potentially, to move. We know where interest rates are, and that just may not be a viable option for you at this point. But that doesn't mean you can't improve your living space. One Bath and Closets can help turn your current home into a much nicer, more livable, functional place. With One Bath and Closets, they've got your bathrooms covered. They've got your closets covered. Consultation's free. Go to onebathandclosets.com and just sign up to get a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything for David Duvall and his crew to come over to your home and just kind of talk you through their process and let you know what the steps would be. You don't have to go through with it. It doesn't cost you a thing, but I think you'll want to. Check out the testimonials at onebathandclosets.com. They've just done awesome work for 3 decades, whether it's getting a walk-in shower right there where your tub is, that tub-to-shower conversion, or taking your closet that's just a mess right now and creating a little bit more space, a little bit more organization, and optimizing the space that you've already got with your closets. If you tell them Hunt and Hill sent you to onebathandclosets.com, 30% off of your closet renovation or remodel. 30% off. I invite you to go to onebathandclosets.com and give David Duvall and his crew a shot. Onebathandclosets.com.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
All right, let's say ah.
To the Prep Football Playoffs, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview, presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and Archbishop Rummel kick off at 7, immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tuesday edition, Hunt and Hill. Glad you're hanging out with us. Hope you're staying warm and dry. Kind of a nasty start to the week down here in Baton Rouge. For those of you who enjoy the cooler temperatures, they are here for the foreseeable future. I don't think there's a high that's out of the 60s in the next week and a half or so. So here we are. Looks like some iffy weather potentially on Saturday for LSU and UAB, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in the week as it becomes relevant. What will be relevant tonight is the college football playoff rankings will come out, the updated edition. And we expect LSU likely to be number 6 in that ranking. The question is, how many teams do we think realistically are still in this thing? Clearly, your undefeated Power 5 teams are very much in this thing. I use air quotes: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU. Tennessee, I believe, is very much in the mix. They were 5 last week. And certainly, I don't believe would have given you any reason to pull them down significantly after a fairly reasonable win over Missouri. They put some window dressing at the end. Josh Heupel got asked about that yesterday. He said, "Why'd you go score a touchdown with like 5 seconds left in the game?" And Heupel said, I mean, clearly the answer is because we're in a beauty contest. Like, that's the answer, but he can't say that because then that cheapens the 60-something points they scored. So he said, look, we had our 2s out there. I gave it thought, but I told him to go play football. And that's a fine answer. I think, whatever. For those of you that want to dive in and dissect it and poor sportsmanship, whatever. They asked Eli Drinkwitz about it, too, and he was like, I'm not going to tell him what to do with his guys, whatever. It doesn't matter. So it is what it is, but they're very much in it. Obviously, Oregon with the loss to Washington, I don't believe they are in the mix anymore. They are now a 2-loss team. No 2-loss team has ever made the college football playoff. Even the 16 2-loss conference champions that have clearly won their conference over the playoff era have not gotten in. I do believe that LSU is in it. They're going to need a little help, and they're going to have to do some real work in College Station and Atlanta, but I think they're in it. I believe USC is in it. I believe Clemson is in it. UCLA, I'm going to have a tougher time. Oh, UCLA lost last week, didn't they? Yeah, they lost to Arizona. They're done. Sorry. So yeah, that's I think it. I think it's 9 teams. It's Georgia, it's Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee, LSU, USC, and Clemson. I think are your teams that can get in. Do you see another one that I'm missing here?
I would actually take one out. I would take Clemson out because I don't see that avenue for them because of their resume. They don't have that notable win and getting blown off the field by a Notre Dame team with 3 losses. I think they'll put a 1-loss Ohio State or Michigan in above them. I think a Pac-12 winner with 1 loss. I even think maybe a TCU with 1 loss and definitely Tennessee with 1 loss with their 1 loss coming against the number 1 team. And so I think that's just a bad loss for Clemson, and they haven't really impressed all season long. They don't have that signature win, or they're not blowing anyone off the field. So of all the teams, even if they win out, I think some of these other 1-loss teams will get the nod. They probably don't put Clemson in this year.
I don't disagree with your overall thought process on it. I think I'm crossing teams out that I don't think have any chance to get in. Mm-hmm. I think if some things happen that we don't expect, Clemson could get in. I mean, look, if LSU, I don't even need to put LSU in there, but reasonably speaking, Tennessee's on the outside looking in. But if Ohio State and Michigan were to stub their toe at a given point, if TCU were to lose a game here or there, if Tennessee were to stub their toe against Kentucky, I'm not betting on those things to happen. But if a few things happen, I think 1-loss Clemson would get in if they got help. If everybody holds serve the rest of the way, and Georgia knocks LSU out, and Ohio State and Michigan finish the season with 0 and 1 losses respectively, and TCU does what they've done, and Tennessee goes undefeated, Clemson's not going to jump those teams. But I think they're in it for the time being to see if they get some help over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, with that narrative, I could see that. I think, like you said, though, they're going to need a lot of help from across the country because we talked about it all season long. That ACC schedule is just super, super sleepy. The teams that you thought, Miami, I can't believe I thought they would go into they lost to the Aggies. Like, we know what the Aggies are now. I was putting up the U. Like, what was I thinking? But the ACC is just, it's very sleepy. And so I think they're going to need a lot of help from around the country. But technically, they could get some help. 1-loss ACC champion, they'll probably get that 4th spot.
Do you agree that Southern Cal is still in the mix?
I do. I think they're going to need some help as well. That loss is not the worst loss for them.
At
on
Utah
the road,
by a point.
Yeah, last play of the game, going for 2. That's not a bad loss to have on there on the road. And so if they go undefeated, if they finish the season winning out, and obviously they're 1-loss Pac-12, Caleb Williams, they're going to get the style points. Everyone wants to see Stinking Lincoln out there calling plays. So, yeah, if they win the Pac, I think it's going to be a tight race for that 4th spot.
The finish to their schedule helps them. The fact that they are USC, so you get a little, and they are Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams are pretty much proven commodities at this level, and so you don't have to question it. Like, I don't know what the discussion was in Dallas the last 3 weeks last year, but I feel like you probably had to determine whether or not you thought Cincinnati had proven it. Yep. And I don't think you have to have that exact same conversation about Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. Those guys probably, if you put them out there in a playoff, are going to go score some points. That's just my thought. But they get to finish at UCLA, LA, and then a home game against Notre Dame, who's playing better. So you get those 2, and then you play a Pac-12 conference championship game, and you feel like you've really closed with 3 strong opponents. I use air quotes. Not everybody can play Georgia or Alabama or Tennessee every week. So relatively speaking, 3 fairly tough opponents, and you get it done. At that point, you look up, and you are 9, 10, 11, 12, 12-1, and the winners of the Pac-12. I think you've got a real case.
Yeah, you definitely do, and that would be something that I think would edge Tennessee out of the mix. Anytime you possibly get in that SEC champion, or even a Georgia. Let's say Georgia even loses, I don't see how they take Georgia out. We just saw them have that same avenue last year, dominate the regular season, losing the SEC title, still get that spot, and then they would have that win over Tennessee. And so I think you look at that, and then you obviously with USC finishing the season as a champion with only that one loss on the road by a point. I think that kind of edges out Tennessee there, and I think there's no way Georgia does not get in unless they have lose to somebody they're not supposed to. I don't see them losing it at all until possibly the SEC championship. So yeah, I think Tennessee may get the short end of the stick and all this with some of these teams win out and win their conference. I just maybe Clemson. I would see them putting Tennessee in over Clemson, but that's possibly about it.
All right, let's talk about what the people want us to talk about, which is LSU. It's a beauty contest. And right now, I don't know that LSU's scores are all that high. Your loss to Tennessee is ugly. They came in and beat you bad. And then you lost to Florida State, who's played better, and it was the last play of the game on an extra. There's really no – if you're going to lose a game, losing with a blocked extra point is about the best way you can lose.
Yeah.
That's one – but still, it is a loss. And so – you didn't look very good against Arkansas, quite frankly. If anybody's paying attention and trying to give a reason why you need to be in and Tennessee needs to be out, that showing in Fayetteville is not going to wow a lot of people. So do you think it's important for LSU to go out against UAB and make sure you win by 28 instead of 10?
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't normally say that, but I think to this point in the season, because of all the inconsistency, you're going to have to give them a reason where they can look this country in the face and say, well, look, this team has been on absolute fire since that Tennessee loss. They won the SEC. They didn't really have any hiccups. Obviously, it's a 11 o'clock kickoff in Arkansas, but they found a way to win that game, win the SEC West. It's a beauty pageant at this point. I think you're going to have to finish this season strong. You can't go to A&M, play sleepy, barely get out of the team who's last place in the SEC. I just love saying that. Last place. Yeah, so you gotta impress against. I know it's on the road. I know Kyle Field's gonna be jumping. Let's ruin the Tigers' playoff hopes, but you gotta have to finish strong.
Pissing their Cheerios is what we were told yesterday.
Oh my goodness. Well, good luck with that. And I think obviously I don't think the Georgia game matters much. I think as long as you get out of that game alive with the win.
No, you just got to win that.
Yeah, you just got to win that one. But I think these last two, you can't play like you did against Arkansas. That's only going to hurt your chance, even if you find a way to beat Georgia and you play UAB, not great offense, doesn't look good, and then you struggle against A&M. I think they're going to put one of these one-loss teams in there, and definitely Georgia's got to get in there, and it's going to be hard to make the case that, hey, this team hasn't really been playing that great. Yeah, they beat Georgia, but let's look at all these resumes. I just don't know if you don't finish strong, they're going to be able to edge you over some of these teams with one loss.
And that's the discussion. It is a beauty pageant. We no longer have a quantifiable metric, the BCS, that just spits the number out, and the number is the number. It is a beauty pageant. So, like, if you're LSU at that point, you've got – I would have to go back and look and be certain, but I'm comfortable saying – cautiously that LSU would have the three best wins. You would have a win over Georgia and Atlanta, you would have a win over Alabama, and you would have a win over a two-loss Ole Miss team, assuming they beat Arkansas and Mississippi State. Those three wins would stack up with anybody. Now the question is, do we care about wins? Plus you've got conference champion, which we understand is a metric that they use. That is something that they discuss. Yes, and they won the conference. As opposed to fewest losses or who looks better on the field. It's a lot to digest. Yeah. But I just right now it feels to me like LSU is on the outside, and we're going to have to watch the Michigan-Ohio State game. I mean, and first of all, we are all perfectly aware that if they lose to either UAB, A&M, or Georgia, the discussion doesn't matter anymore. So, but for the purpose of this discussion, LSU has won those three games. Now I have to watch the Michigan-Ohio State game and see how the result is. If it's 56-7, that's one thing. If it's 34-35, that's another. And then you look at Clemson, and you look at USC, and you look at how Tennessee fares the rest of the way. Does TCU hold serve? Like, it becomes a lot of moving parts at that point, but it feels like you need to go out there and play pretty well if you're LSU, and because you're going to have to give more of a reason, because the losses, I mean, that Tennessee loss is ugly.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think you also have to look at the letter of the law. And right now, before the expansion, it's technically the best four teams, not the best four conference championship winners, not the best, team with one loss. It's whoever that committee feels like are the best four teams in the country. And if you can rack up a win against Ole Miss, who's going to be ranked in the top 15. Obviously, Alabama, they're never going to be outside the top 10. And obviously, if you beat the number one team in the country, when you look at kind of what these other teams have on their resume, you have the best wins. And I think, obviously, if you're playing the best football to that point as an SEC champion, it's going to be hard to put that Clemson team with one loss. Like, who have they beat? And obviously, a lot of the other teams with one loss in the season. I think that's what's going to really hurt, Ohio State and Michigan, is that non-conference schedule. I know they tried to get Notre Dame on the schedule, but when you don't really have that.
Ohio State will get more credit than Michigan. Michigan will get no credit. Michigan's going to have to run the table, I believe, unless you just think that 1 point loss to Ohio State in the last game of the season is enough, but.
Yeah, I just think the resume isn't better. Even with the 2 losses, I'm looking at. I mean, we just saw this in 2007. Yeah, so you just have way better wins. You're beating the number one team in the country, and obviously you lost to that team. And so I think, at that current time, with everything buzzing, you're right there on the cusp. If LSU was like at 9 or 10 right now, I'd be extremely worried about it. But if you kind of finish this thing out, and obviously you're at 6 now and you beat Georgia, I can see the committee possibly bumping you up to that 4th spot, especially with Tennessee finishing the season with the teams they're going to be playing. So it'll be hard to impress anyone. LSU will just have a lot more impressive wins down the stretch.
I'll tell you what, Kentucky and Vanderbilt better buckle their chin straps because they're going to try to score 100 on them. We've seen it. We just watched it. Heupel played to the whistle on Missouri. He's going to do the same thing against those 2 teams. He will try to score 80 if he can. And hey, that's kind of entertaining. Go have at it. But tonight, any reason to think it won't be Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5, LSU 6, USC 7?
Yeah, I think that'll be exactly it, especially right now. I could see maybe them bumping USC up. They just love USC. I could see them getting the 6th spot based off of how you played last Saturday, but I think that's pretty what I think it's going to be.
We shall see this evening. I think 6 o'clock is when those rankings will come out. Incidentally, tonight, if we're talking about it, we'll be hanging out at Pluckers, doing some sports trivia as we do each and every Tuesday. We'll have some action on. We'll have some NBA on. The Pels play tonight. So at 8:30 tonight, we'll have sports trivia at the Pluckers Nicholson location. Grab a team and come on out and hang. We always have a very, very good time out there. We'll come back, talk a little NFL, the power rankings, and then some hot seat updates. The Saints are involved here. We'll talk about it next. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check them out, reliableroofingbr.com.
So happy to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
Chatting with Lionel Hayes earlier this week, one of the things he wanted to make sure that we told y'all is, every roof is different. Every roofing job is different. We tell you every single day that they're here to do inspections, repairs, and replacements. They don't have to do a roof replacement. If it's just a couple shingles here or there, no job is too small for Reliable Roofing and Construction. They need to go up there and just hammer out a few shingles. That's what they'll do, and they'll get on down the road. They don't have to have the full meal deal roof replacement. They're here to serve the community. If you need help with your roof, Reliable Roofing and Construction is here to do it. And every job is going to come with that 5-year labor warranty. 5-year labor warranty guaranteed at Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check out the website, reliableroofingbr.com. Got a ton of before and after pictures. They're proud of their work, and they should be over there at Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check out the website, reliableroofingbr.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
Week 11 in the NFL, and our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Indianapolis Colts and the Philadelphia Eagles at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Billy Embody from 0-3 on recruiting in about 25 minutes. He and Shay Dixon put in their class finish predictions over at 0-3. Want to get his thoughts on some big names that he has included for the LSU Fighting Tigers. Recruiting seems to be going very, very well for Brian Kelly here in year number 1 in terms of the full class he's putting together. Things not going very, very well in year 1 for Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 3-7 on the season. ESPN puts out their power rankings for the SEC for the NFL every Tuesday, and the Saints back 3 spots to number 24 after the loss up there to Pittsburgh. By now, you know the Saints are not very good. That's not really the point of the discussion here. But they do a hot seat for every organization. Could be the GM, could be the center, could be the kicker, could be the quarterback, could be the coach. And the Saints' hot seat all year long has been Jameis Winston. And Cat Terrell says right now the temperature of that seat is hot. Jameis Winston was injured in week 1. Team sat him in favor of Andy Dalton after Winston's several failed attempts to play through it. But the team's record is in free fall for 2 straight weeks because of offensive struggles, and it doesn't seem out of the question that Winston could play again this season. For now, Winston's in limbo both for 2022 and his future in New Orleans beyond this season. I'm not going to ask you to place any wagers on this. Just give me a prediction for the future of Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, whether that's this week or next season or the season after that.
I honestly think they're going to ride with Dalton for right now. I don't think it's a situation where I think they're going to put, Jameis back out there. And I think obviously it helps them going into the offseason, whether they want to make that decision to bring him back again or if they kind of want to move on from him. Obviously, it's just not enough body of work to, if you're negotiating for Jameis to, kind of pound the table and say, look what I just accomplished, look what I just did. And it's obviously, like I always say, the worst spot for an organization. You don't want to be in that position. You want to have a quarterback you can point to, build an offense around, and kind of, feel good about, what you can accomplish. And I think obviously for the Saints fans and everyone in that organization right now to be at this point in the season with only 3 wins and 7 losses, I don't think anyone could have predicted that. And I think obviously not having, that Drew Brees, we've seen tons and tons of organizations, have that franchise quarterback where you got for a decade plus, and, what you're going to get Sunday after Sunday, and trying to replace that void overnight is just Very, very difficult to do, and you see the Saints kind of going through that right now at a high clip. So I don't know how they fix it this offseason. Obviously, they don't have a first-round pick. The cap is actually just terrible right now. So honestly, I probably think they roll with Jameis for another year because, I mean, where you got to go, I guess you could go with Jimmy G or a name like that, but it's not going to be kind of what you had with Drew Brees. And for the Saints, I think that's what you're going to have to kind of get back, to what you were doing early in these 2000s.
This is my opinion on this is based in this. What are the odds that next season Andy Dalton is the starting quarterback of the Saints and throws for 4,700 yards and 28 touchdowns? I think almost zero. Almost zero. Yeah. What are the odds Jameis is the starting quarterback for the Saints next year and throws for those numbers? Like 15%, 17%. It's not good, but it's possible. And if you sat Dennis Allen down and said, hey, man, we're not going to fire you after 1 year. We're also not going to the playoffs this year because even if you rattle off 8 in a row here to go 11-7, that's not going to happen. So put the guy out there that gives the organization a chance moving forward. I understood giving your team a chance early in the season when Winston was hurt and he turned the ball over a couple times and Dalton came in and was taking care of it a little bit better outside of the 2 awful throws against Arizona. I got that. Okay, well, that's over now because we're losing every week. So in the interest of the franchise and not necessarily this team, which is cooked, put the guy out there that might do it. Yeah. That's my thought. They're never going to do that. They're never going to operate like that. It's just not the way people function. No. But it's what I would do.
Yeah, it's the thing that drives every human being on this planet. I hear we're up to like 8 billion now, but it's the unknown. And I don't think any organization wants that unknown going to the season. They want to feel really, really great about their chances and kind of build around that guy. And anytime you have a quarterback where you just don't know what you're going to get week in and week out, it just makes everyone uncomfortable. And especially when you have a quarterback that turnovers is the biggest issue. And we know, turning the ball over is the fastest way you can lose a football game. And so I think for Jameis, maybe he gets another shot this year. I don't know, especially with all the injuries he's coming off of. And really, like I said before, with Dalton running the show, it's just not been kind of what you wanted. Like, especially if you're looking at it with the glass half full, like this guy's made Pro Bowls before. He's thrown for a bunch of touchdowns, thrown for a bunch of yards. He knows what he's doing back there. But it just hasn't been, kind of that glass half full type of season for Andy. So I think for Jameis, he's kind of in the same boat. I don't know how much favor he has with that organization right now because I think if he did, kind of like you thought, there's no way they're going away from Jameis this year. They went away from the first chance they got, and so it's just a bad spot. I think for him right now as a quarterback, and then obviously looking at the starter, it's obviously something that you're not going to build your franchise around going forward. So what do you do? It's really a great question for that Saints front office because I don't really know what their plans are. I think for me, maybe you look at a name like Jimmy G. I think Mariota's on a 1-year deal, but it's just all these names. It's just I don't know. I don't know if it's going to move the needle for Saints fans.
I mean, the point, I guess, to put a bow on it is if you play 500 ball the rest of the way, which is twice as good as you're playing right now, you're 3-7. 500 ball is significantly better than what you're playing. If you play 500 ball the rest of the way, you finish the season 7-11. Yeah. The season is done. So in the interest of the organization, that's where I would start to think. And in the interest of the organization, try to play Jameis Winston. The team's worse than the Saints in the power rankings, incidentally, here. The Bears at 25, the Jaguars at 26, the Steelers, who just beat the Saints, at 27, the Broncos at 28. You want a stat on the Denver Broncos?
That's right.
Did you see this stat on Twitter about the Broncos?
Probably something to do with their offense. If I had to
guess. It is.
It's probably not very good either.
The Broncos are 3-6 on the season. If they scored exactly 18 points in regulation of all 9 games this year, 18 points on the number, they'd be 8-1. They're 3-6.
Man.
If they scored 18, they'd be 8-1.
Look, man, I thought they were going to ride, man. They had me going for a little bit. Yeah, I was, sipping a little bit of that juice, but obviously, just hasn't been the year for Russell there for whatever reason. Obviously banged up a little bit doing his high knees and aerobics on the flight for 6 hours. Got the win, but since that, it's just
Speaking of flights, did you catch Taylor Heineke last night?
Yes, I definitely did. I threw it in take or leave it, actually.
My man, we did?
Yeah,
we'll talk about it right now, and then we'll bring it back up. But my dude wins a game against the Eagles, and I see a video of him on the flight with the big chains everywhere and the bucket full ice chest or trash can full of cold beers. Busch Lights. So I went, that didn't seem like a very far flight, Philly to D.C. How far is that? I looked it up. It's 1 hour. My man had a trash can full of cold beers for a 1 hour flight. That's what I'm talking about. That makes the Commanders a real contender this year, I think.
Look, actually, since Riverboat Ron made those QB comments, the other guys kind of been running the show a little bit there, getting some wins, beating an undefeated team, obviously crushing those Busch Lights, probably more of a Bud Light guy myself. But, hey, you get a dub like that, I don't mind what you're drinking on the flight. So I guess
as long as it's cold out of that trash can, baby.
I guess Captain Kirk is starting I don't know what you want to call it.
Trend?
He started a little trend in the league right now. Maybe we'll see the GOAT Tom Brady come out with a shirt and with the chains on. I don't know if he's going to do that. But, you got to tip your cap to Heineke because I don't think anyone could have predicted him kind of coming in last minute and getting this team respectable and winning football games. They were actually horrible to start this year. Now they're winning games, so you got to tip your cap to them.
Billy embodying 14 minutes on recruiting. We'll come back and close out hour number 1 next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford. Check them out at BayouFord.com.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They've got a new special tab that updates daily. It's complete with a photo of the vehicle, the savings you could score, as well as a video profiling all of its features. Don't see anything you love? That's okay. Keep coming back because those deals will update on the site as Bayou Ford rolls them out. It's all right there at BayouFord.com.
Look, you can check it out at Bayou Ford. They've got the entire inventory right there, as Jeremy just told you. They've got your Broncos. They've got your Mustangs. They got your F-150, F-250, got your Explorers, Expeditions, all those awesome Ford models. They also got used cars on there as well. If they've got exactly what you want, give Ben Gagne and the crew down there at Bayou Ford a call. Say, hey, let's ride. If they don't, it's all right. They can customize the vehicle for you, turn it around in 60 to 90 days. Check out that inventory at BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the need.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Insurance Network of Louisiana. Sean Salisbury joins us, and we'll chat with Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Tuesday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Awesome night of college basketball tonight. If that's your type of deal, we'll be watching a little bit over at Pluckers, Kentucky Wildcats, and Michigan State Spartans coming to you from Indianapolis. Kentucky 2-0 on the season. Michigan State coming off a tough loss to Gonzaga. But those two teams will go at it. Then the nightcap in Indianapolis, number 7 Duke and number 6 Kansas. No Bill Self for Kansas in that one, as he is serving a self-imposed 2-game suspension for all the stuff they did. Oh the NCAA didn't do anything, but Bill Self's going to sit 2 games just for appearance's sake. But look, big opportunity for Kentucky in the Southeastern Conference. I don't know if you saw this. Florida lost last night to Florida Atlantic. I watched a lot of that game. It was just happened to be on TV, and I was kind of looking at it. Florida Atlantic was shooting the 3 like crazy, and Florida did not have a ton of answers offensively outside of Colin Castleton, who decided last night he was going to shoot a bunch of threes. He had not made a 3 in his entire career, and decided he was going to put up 5 or 6 last night and made one. But SEC always got to keep an eye on it. I think probably less so this year because this LSU team, while it's way too early to make huge generalizations, they don't look like a tournament team right now. Now they got a long way to go, so I get that. But I used to, when we knew LSU should be in the mix for a tournament, really pay attention to some of this SEC stuff. For now, pretty much entertainment purposes, though, so we'll see if John Calipari's squad can go beat Michigan State tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure my boy Casey Gaines is just jumping for joy, just filled with this praise and just gloriness ready. Because obviously, like you said, I think the good folks in Lexington, I don't know if they're tuning into the football team anymore. So
no, they're done with that.
I think all eyes will be, getting ready for Rupp Arena and what this team can kind of do. I know the injury bugs kind of hurt that basketball team a little bit, but they just got the number 1 point guard for next year. Just seems like Calipari.
Yeah, they got like 4 of the top 8 players in the country in that class.
Yeah, so. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that'll be a great spot for Kentucky and obviously the SEC to kind of put the nation on notice. So we'll see how that plays out.
Kentucky did not have Xavier Wheeler in the opener. He did play in their second game, and he is a total difference maker for that team with the way he can run the show. And when he's at Georgia as a freshman, there's not a lot of a show for him to run. When you got some of the guys out there that Kentucky's got running around, Antonio Reeves, C.J. Frederick, Jacob Toppin, they go a little bit differently. And so when Wheeler's got the ball and they've got as much ability as they do on the outside, and they've also got some guys that can shoot it this year, which is a little bit scary for a Calipari team because they usually don't shoot at all. This team can. So I expect them to win the ball game tonight. They're a 7-point favorite against Michigan State.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't think Sheboy's playing, but I don't think it'll matter in a game like this. It's just so much depth. And when you got the great point guard play with the shooters around him and obviously Coach Cal, the great coach, I think it just sets up, for a game for them to win. But it's college basketball. We've seen some wacky upsets already, ruining everyone's parlay. So we'll kind of see what Kentucky can bring without their best players.
Had Northwestern State go to TCU and beat a ranked team last night, which TCU had a shot in the air at the buzzer, did not go down, and Northwestern State gets the win. First win over a ranked team for Northwestern State since I was a senior in high school watching Northwestern State and Iowa in my physics class at Loyola because our old point guard was on the bench for Northwestern State. We're sitting there watching the game. That's all we were doing in physics class. Really tough education up there at LCP. And Cliff Lee hit a three from the corner to win the game for Northwestern State, and we all like yelled, "Oh!" And the teacher got so ticked off. It was Coach McElhatton. He was not having it. He was going to get caught showing basketball. It's not normal for a whole classroom to erupt and yell and clap. So he didn't like that. But that's the last time that Northwestern State had won a ranked game, and they did so last night. It's a busy night in the Southeastern Conference as far as basketball goes. Winthrop is at Auburn. Vanderbilt is at Temple. Chattanooga is in Oxford, Mississippi. SIU Edwardsville will play Missouri in where are they? They're going to go to Mobile.
Southern Illinois?
Alabama. SIU Edwardsville, yeah. Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. Okay. That'll be at Mizzou Arena in Columbia. And Alabama's going to trek down to Mobile and play South Alabama down in Mobile, Alabama. So that's your slate here from the Southeastern Conference tonight. We are busy in hour number 2. Billy Embody talking recruiting at straight up 2 o'clock in 5 minutes, and Sharif Ishak at 2:30. If you missed any in the first hour, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Had Glenn West at the very top of the show talking Tigers, a little college football playoff, and some NFL chatter as well. Hope your Tuesday's off to a good start. Come back with us after Sports Center. It's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX. This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert will probably miss extended time with a left shoulder injury. And it got hurt last night against the Commanders. Now that the Eagles have their first loss, who's the best team in the league? ESPN's Keyshawn Johnson.
Is Kansas City the #1 team in the NFL? Right now, they are. But they could very easily get popped, just like Indianapolis popped them several weeks ago. It could happen. I don't know that it will. This is a very explosive football team.
Keyshawn Johnson on KJ and Max. Rams receiver Cooper Kupp will go on IR. He'll be out at least 4 weeks after right ankle surgery. After a successful weekend in Germany, the NFL is looking at Spain and France for potential future game sites. Spain would have an edge because the Bears and Dolphins already hold marketing rights there. Nets guard Kyrie Irving will serve the 7th game of his team-imposed suspension tonight against the Kings. It's still unclear when Irving might come back. He's been suspended for harmful conduct after promoting anti-Semitic content on social media.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
1, 2, 3. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2 on a Tuesday. Sharif Ishak with us in 30 minutes talking Saints and Pels. We'll head out to the Jim's Firearms hotline right now. Billy Embody of On 3, our guest, to talk some Cruton. Billy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. I'm trying to stay warm, but we're making that happen. We're pedaling right along. I think there was probably a faction of the LSU fan base that thought they might have more eyes on recruiting the first week of December than they did the SEC championship game. But here we are. The Tigers will be in the SEC championship game, but recruiting rolls on, and it appears Brian Kelly and his staff are doing a really, really good job. You and Shay D over there at On 3 put out your projections for the rest of this class, and I want to talk about some of the guys that have been mentioned in LSU's class and that are not committed to this point. The first one I want to talk about is Javen Toviano, who I know we've talked about before. Where do you stand with him?
Yeah, I mean, Javian Toviano is a tough one to read. I've been out to see him probably 4 times this fall alone, and then as well as the Under Armour Future 50 camp in the summer. And he keeps it right down the middle, very complimentary of every program, has been fairly deliberate, I would say, with his process, and he's very tight-lipped about probably where he's actually leaning. But if we track a lot of what he's done, he's been to plenty of LSU games. He's been to LSU Alabama. He has not visited another college campus outside of LSU. He's been to an A&M game at a neutral site. He's been to a Texas game at a neutral site. And then he did not make it to Texas TCU this past weekend. So you add all that up, and he's somebody that a lot of people are kind of counting on being in this LSU class. But he has never named a leader. He has said he feels like he knows where he wants to go. Does that mean it's LSU? The signs kind of point to that. But on the same token, you would think maybe he would have jumped on board already. So he's somebody that's very hard to read, but if we're tracking kind of what he's been doing this fall, it's been a lot of LSU, and the video that surfaced around him rushing the field after the Alabama game. I mean, that looks like a kid who wants to play in Tiger Stadium on Saturdays.
Any kind of time frame for him to this point?
Yeah, he wants to do it during the early signing period at this point. He talked about maybe taking official visits early in the season, knocking them all out, and then making a decision and, going into his high school senior year in district play, kind of focused on that. But he's kind of pushed things back. We're now 2 weeks left of the regular season. He's mentioned taking other official visits. He passed on taking a visit to Texas for that TCU game. He's thrown around the idea of an Oregon visit. He's thrown around the idea of making it back to Ohio State for the Michigan game. It'll be interesting to see if he pops up anywhere at all these next 2 weekends. And he's an early enrollee as well. So the time is truly ticking for him. It might just be a situation where he ends up going where everybody thought he would go, which is LSU. And for some reason, he just wanted to take it all the way to the early signing period.
Desmond Ricks, another high-profile defensive back, time frame and kind of thoughts on him.
Yeah, he's going to announce his decision on the final day of the early signing period, December 23rd. And he's going to visit Alabama for the Iron Bowl and then return for an official visit December 10th. He's going to check out Florida again December 3rd. And then he's got his last official visit going to LSU. Again, somebody that I think LSU has positioned themselves very well for. I think NIL is going to play a big factor in his final decision. I think that's also why he's going to announce on the final day of the early signing period to kind of see maybe where some other dominoes fall and give himself a couple extra days on the back end of that LSU visit to make his final decision. I think he could go to anywhere in his top three. I've talked to a couple sources around his camp. I don't see a dark horse like a Miami coming into play or back into play late. I do think he's focused on this top three, and his visits reflect that, with him making another trip to Tuscaloosa, him taking another trip to Gainesville, and him popping back down or up to Baton Rouge for another visit. I like where LSU stands. He's just one that I think more so than Toviano, that one could kind of change with the wind late in the game.
Obviously, most of the top 20 players in Louisiana pretty much already have their decision made. But do you think with the season Coach Kelly and the rest of this team has put together, they have a chance of flipping any of these Louisiana recruits already?
I would say that I think they're pretty locked in. The one player I kind of circle is a Carl Williams from Southern Lab. He's committed to Baylor. He's been a long-time Baylor commit. If LSU decides to offer him, maybe if, let's say, Desmond Ricks goes elsewhere, for example, then maybe they say, all right, we need to rebuild this corner room. He's got the measurables. He's got plenty of wheels. Let's go ahead and bring him in and get another Baton Rouge kid on board. Really, really like him as a player. He's been a little nicked up at times this season, but he's got the measurables. He's got the production. He's got the, verified measurables. All the things you want, especially if you're going to take a flyer kind of in a way on a Baton Rouge kid. He already has the athleticism to back that up. So I think that would be a really smart take late. But if you're talking kind of like a Derek Williams, somebody like that out of Westgate, I don't see him flipping. And he's not really shown any interest in LSU. He's not made a visit at all this year either.
One of the names that that I have noticed that's popped up on y'all's message board a little bit, and a name that you mentioned in your piece here, trying to project the class out, is Nicholas Harbor, which is a very, very fascinating case for a lot of reasons. You're talking about in the On3 consensus, a top 15 player in the country, the number one athlete in the country. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He is a 100-meter sprinter with a 3.8 GPA. His dad works as an engineer at NASA. His mom is a pharmacist. Like, this guy, seems like he might be built in a lab. What can you tell us about Nicholas Harbor?
Yeah, he is built in a lab. I mean, 6'5", 230 pounds with a 10.28. He might even clock a 10.21. That's pretty insane. He has his eyes set on running in the Olympics, and to do that, I mean, one, he's going to have to lock in and focus, on that at some point. And especially during the spring with qualifiers or running track, wherever he ends up going to college. Obviously, LSU has a ton to offer on the track side of things. And a lot of people are kind of turned off in a way with LSU's chances because he has not made a visit to Baton Rouge. And his team plays a ton on Saturdays. It has not worked out at this point for him to get here, which can be a red flag. Maybe not as much, in my opinion, because he's taking it to February. He's always said that. And if he does, in fact, do that, LSU is going to get a chance to host him for an official visit. Jamar Cain has recruited him for a long, long time. LSU is going to give him the chance to play both sides of the ball, and he could, in theory, be a little slimmed down playing a tight end if he would like to do that. Or he could honestly play, slim down and be pretty disruptive off the edge for Coach Cain. But LSU's got a real good chance here, in my opinion. They've hung around the entire time. They've consistently been in the mix. You've seen some flavors of the week with a Michigan, a South Carolina, a Maryland. Maybe there's a dark horse in there somewhere, but there's been buzz around different programs. But LSU has always been a school that he wants to visit. He has great relationships. It might be a little bit, too far for him, but I don't think he's going to look at it like that. You mentioned his parents, very, very well educated, very well thought out as far as how they're going through this process. I think he likes what LSU's done on the field this year as well. I think they're going to have a real good chance here once they get him on campus. He's just a prospect that hasn't been able to take many visits. And, LSU getting one of the last visits is probably a good thing.
It's nice to have options, I guess. If you're a 6'5", 225-pound person who wants to run in the Olympics, plans to major in medicine or engineering with a 3.8 GPA. Oh, and by the way, top 15 football player in your class. That's a pretty nice combination. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I haven't either. He is that impressive of a human being. I mean, I talked with him, and things kind of really picked up for him over the summer, and he's kind of gone a little quiet on, I think, the whole media thing in general. But we spoke for about 45 minutes in January, and he just really, really, impressive. I mean, in all facets, well-researched. He watches these teams that he's considering play. He's taking all these different things into account. He's got Michigan. He's got, a program like that where they've really pushed the academics on him. Brian Kelly has won a couple of recruiting battles over Michigan now, Paul Mabenga and DJ Chester, where, the pitch in theory is part of Michigan education is that. But Brian Kelly has really prioritized it at LSU, and he's been really pushing that with Nicholas Harbor and some of these other prospects, that it's a big piece of their puzzle. And I think that's been paying off as well.
Billy Embody from On 3, the Bengal Tiger On 3. We'll see you on the boards, Billy. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.
Sure will. Nicholas Harbor, this is a recruitment I'm confident saying that Brian Kelly feels right at home with, because this is the kind of player you look for at Notre Dame. There just aren't that many of them that are really, really good and exceptionally solid academic people with a lot of academic dreams and desires. Like, this is the kind of guy he would have been recruiting at Notre Dame a lot, because they just aren't going to dip those athletic administration admission things for academics at Notre Dame. So that's not a name I had heard a lot of. I did see it on the message board over there at On 3, which, by the way, I've been over there for a few weeks now, as they're going to have me writing some baseball stuff for them. The amount of information that those three guys put on that message board every day is really impressive. And this is one of the guys that I hadn't paid a lot of attention to, but feels like LSU's put themselves in the mix, and it's going to go until February.
I'm trying not to jinx this too much, because I'm imagining, Perk on one side, Harbor on the other side, Mason Smith coming up the middle. Like, can we even talk about that? Like, is that just
Quincy Wiggins?
Like, this is just unbelievable to even think about. But you talk about exceptional athletes. Like, I don't think you could grade this kid in a lab. Like, he's absolutely just an absolute freak. Obviously, to run as fast as he does on the track, being able to play offense and defense at a high level. Like, I just don't want to talk about this too much, because if we get this guy, like, oh my goodness,
it'll be a January conversation, I believe. Thanks to Billy Embody from On 3 for jumping aboard here. We'll take a timeout, come back when Sharif Ishak in 15 minutes. We're talking Tigers and UAB next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill. Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
There it is, The extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I remind you to check out dropbiscuit.com, browse that growing library. While you're there, you can subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, or whatever Southern flavored audio biscuit you may fancy. That is dropbiscuit.com. And 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is excited to see pro hockey coming back to the Raising Cane's River Center this winter. Tickets start at just $10 for games at Ticketmaster.com and the Raising Cane's River Center box office. keep listening for your chance to win some from us. Sign up to win at 1045ESPN.com. I think for me this week, Jeremy, I was a little bit spooked at that Arkansas defense and what they did to LSU. We mentioned it yesterday, but there was so much we wanted to get to. If I'm LSU, I'm spending almost the entire week this week on 3-man rushes, dropping 8, and figuring out a way to get the ball out into playmakers' hands and move the chains. You're not going to create a bunch of chunk plays against 8 men dropping back, but you got to run the football, and you got to get the ball out on screen, some short passing game, and loosen things up, because what we saw in that game where Jaden Daniels gets to the top of his drop, there's 8 guys out there, there's nobody open, and then he goes to run, and there's 2 guys spying him, and they tackle him for a 1-yard gain. That's a death sentence for this offense. You can't have that.
Yeah, I went back and watched the film of that, and I think Coach Kelly even said it too. Jaden had some opportunities where he can get the ball out quick, and that's something that he really did when he was playing at a high level. And I think anytime you're obviously dropping 8, that's what you have to do, holding the ball time and time again. Lets guys plaster the guys in coverage, and once you break the pocket, then you can put your hands on these receivers, and it just makes it very, very difficult to do. So I agree with you. To me, you got to get some draws, create some, creative draw plays. Anytime you're dropping 8, you're flying out of there, and anytime you see that quarterback pass in motion, and then now you can kind of, get some momentum head into the secondary. I like the screen game as well. Something I haven't seen all year, screen to a running back. Don't know, maybe Denmark doesn't believe in that, but I would love to see Josh Williams.
Good point. I hadn't thought about much of that.
Yeah, I would love to see Josh Williams in open space or Emery in space, get those guys with some blockers ahead of them. We got some athletic linemen that can get out and do those things. And so, yeah, this is something this team isn't, foreign to. You saw, obviously, Ole Miss kind of have this same strategy. You saw Mississippi State have this same strategy, and they lit those defenses on fire. So to think that, you can't overcome this, you've seen this team do that before. I think it definitely starts with JD5 and really being comfortable with kind of, what he was doing those past 3 weeks, and that's getting the ball out, not being able to being afraid to take deep shots down the field. I saw a lot of 10-yard stop routes, which to me is bailing out a lot of these DBs when you can literally just grab a guy's hip and be right there in coverage. Let's try to run by some of these guys, give these guys some jump balls. We've seen guys make plays all year long when they get those opportunities. So I think, with this week against the UAB team, just get JD5 back going in the right direction. I know the run game's got to be there. They took a huge leap from the start of this season, but if you're not going to have the pass game to match it, it's just not going to be some of those 30-plus performances we've seen before.
Running back room's been a little banged up. Saw a couple of them leaving the field limping a little bit. John Emery slammed his knee on the turf, it seemed like. So Kane got a couple carries late. Got to get those guys healthy, but I would imagine they'll get a pretty sizable workload in this game if UAB tries to employ that, because I haven't watched a second of UAB film. I haven't looked at one statistic on UAB. That's a story for later in the week, and we'll get into a little bit of it. But I'm just going to guess they don't have a bunch of pro defensive linemen. So if you drop 8 and play 3 down linemen, LSU ought to just knock those dudes 5-on-3 right in 5 yards off the ball and run the football until UAB proves they're going to come out of it. And that's where my head would be entering this game. Get those guys healthy, get a run game going, and maybe take some shots down the field as you get UAB to creep up, try to stop that run.
I think the real question for this week is, do you get Walker Howard some snaps? Like, we haven't burned the red shirt yet.
He's only played in one game.
Yeah, so we don't burn the red shirt. Do we get him a little action this week?
If Walker gets snaps, we're up 30, which is a good thing. But that goes back to the conversation we had in the second segment today. Like, do you feel the need to get into a beauty contest? Do you feel the need to try to win by 30 instead of 10? And nobody's happy you win the game by 10 points. But I was talking to Brandon Taylor on Saturday before the game. I said, look, I was talking to Fave about the fact that they beat Florida and then went up to Kentucky and lost in 2007. And then they beat Bama in 11 and came back and played Western Kentucky, and it was 14-7 LSU at halftime. So they were sleepwalking a little bit, and that I get that. And so the question becomes, do you think that you need to get the guys tuned up and go out there and win by 30, or is winning by 15 fine? I don't know.
No, I think you put your foot on the neck. I think that's just the brand of football you have to be playing to this point in the season. And I remember having one of those sleepy games against Towson. Like, I didn't even know what city they were in, and so I found out later down
Paladins.
the road.
Towson Tigers, permanent Paladins.
Yeah, they're in Baltimore, I think. But I didn't even know where they were coming from. I had no idea, and then I think we were only up like not even a touchdown at halftime. And so it does happen when you're dealing with a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds and you're trying to convince them every game's the same. The Nick Saban approach. But you have to do that because when these teams come to play these type of schools, that's their Super Bowl. That's their chance to be on national TV. That's their chance to, we weren't recruited. We didn't get an offer, so they're going to be playing their lights out. So I think for LSU, you got to come in this game, get back going in the right direction. I think the defense will be fine, but kind of get this passing game going. I think it'll be fine running the ball, but try to get that rhythm back in the passing game because you're going to definitely need that on the road at A&M.
Champ in the Bayou Ford chat says UAB loves to run the football and LSU needs to run the football. This game may only last 60 minutes. Hey, as the post-game host of an 8 o'clock kickoff that I just got an email today that said actually at 8:05 and they may slide it to 8:10, I'm okay with that. If everyone wants to run on every play in this game, I'll be just fine in that. But yeah, that may be a good point. Maybe moving along a little bit. No CBS to slow things down. Running game gets rolling. I can get on board.
Yeah, I think, what was that, the New Mexico game that just kind of just flew by? It felt like it seemed like everyone just wanted to get the heck out of that stadium and get that game over with as fast as humanly possible. Maybe we get a game like that.
Yeah,
where that
Les
clock
used to be like that. Les, if you got a lead on some of these teams and they couldn't stop the running game, it was coming the whole fourth quarter. And you're sitting there as like a fan or a beat writer or something, like, man, is the backup quarterback going to play? Like, we might get to see him play. It's like, nope. We're just going to hand off. We're just going to go run the football. We're going to get out of Dodge. Yeah. Les was famous for that.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. A little toss dive left, a little toss dive right. You may get an inside zone here if you're feeling froggy, feeling lucky. But, yeah, you kind of knew it was coming right at you. And, yeah, I wasn't mad. I was padding those stats. So, yeah, give me the grind.
The line on this game is concerning some people, being that it's just 14 and a half, depending on where you're looking. I'm not all that concerned with this game because UAB is really kind of a one-trick pony. I know that. They're just going to run the football. And we've seen teams that love to run the football: Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Ole Miss, and it just hasn't worked. So I don't think UAB is going to come in here, even with a 1,400-yard back, and run for 185 and 3 scores. I think they're going to have a trouble moving LSU off the football and doing a lot, and I think LSU will score. We'll get into some things that are important and move forward, but that's from 10,000 feet. That's my view of this game. I think LSU is a bad matchup for UAB.
Yeah, it is, and that's something that you really can depend on all season long. Wingo and Roy and all the rest of those guys up the middle have been playing absolutely outstanding. I think the thing that was making me scratch my head is why it's Baskerville not in the game all to start the season. That was like the one linebacker going into this year I felt great about. And then now, obviously, him in the middle of that defense, he's been playing absolutely outstanding. I think Penn's playing well up the middle now. And so I think, trying to just run through the teeth of this LSU defense is going to be very, very difficult for those guys to do. So to me, this is more about just doing what you do best, trying to get those starters out in the second half. Don't need any crazy injuries and just, have that beauty pageant Tennessee style win where you're just scoring a bunch of points and you're not really worried about this team at all in the second half.
Let's talk about that 15K holidays. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are in the spirit to rock your holidays with $15,000 cash. It's our 15K holidays. Head to 1045ESPN.com and register to win a $15,000 national cash prize or a $1,500 local cash prize. The 15K holidays powered by Citizens Bank and Trust and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. We will take a timeout, see what kind of mood Sharif's in next on Hunt and Hill.
1045 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana today and all month long in November. Talking about Molly Kimball.
Yeah, Molly Kimball is a registered dietitian, nutrition journalist, and founder of Oshner Eat Fit. Created in 2013 as a resource for all things wellness, Eat Fit is a nonprofit initiative of Oshner Health that works to make the healthy choice the easy choice through collaborative partnerships with restaurants, markets, and other food service establishments.
500 partners of the Eat Fit program across this state. And one of the interesting things about it is that Molly understands that we're just not trying to slap a chicken breast and some broccoli down there. Louisiana is famous for its fantastic cuisine. You don't want to take away from that. We just want to have some healthy options that are fantastic, and that's what Eat Fit has been striving to do for years. And as I mentioned, 500 partners now across the state with Eat Fit. Together with her Eat Fit team, Molly works closely with restaurants, markets, food service establishments to help identify and develop dishes that meet their established nutritional criteria. If you sit down at a restaurant, check out the menu, and you see that little Eat Fit little icon, little Eat Fit logo right there, that's Molly Kimball and her team doing work, and that's why she is a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, where it's a person, nonprofit, a business that's doing awesome stuff in our great state, go to lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal and nominate them to be a champion of Louisiana so we can tell their story right here on Hunt and Hill. Molly Kimball, November's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
My dad just really enjoyed his life, and he enjoyed smoking cigars and thought he was invincible. My stepdad quit smoking, and he really felt like he was in the clear. Sorry. I wish they would have been screened annually. It's not just you affect, it's your entire family.
For more information on Ochsner's free smoking cessation program and to see if you qualify for early lung screenings, visit ochsner.org/quit.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain.
On Wednesdays off the bench, react to the new college football playoff ranking and what it means for the Tigers. Plus, what do you want to see out of them against UAB Saturday night? Matt Flynn stops by for an hour of flestering off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Big one for the Pellies tonight. They will take on the Grizzlies in the blender. It's a 6:30 start on TNT. Coming off a win over Houston, which is not a great team, but lost a home game to the Trailblazers prior to that. Went to the Bulls and had won, but lost to the Pacers and Hawks on the road before that. So kind of an up and down start for the Pels, who haven't gotten it quite in gear just yet. But there was so much to like early on. You figure there's going to be more of that to come as they hopefully get healthy and get everybody out there and playing together a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big time thing for the Pels, which is why so many people, we're so high on them, as much as it pains my soul when I compare that to my Lakers. But, that's a very, very balanced roster. When you got, defenders, you got bigs. Obviously, we know what, the star power of Zion, B.I., and CJ. But kind of getting those guys out there night after night and kind of forming an identity of kind of what this team's going to be. Obviously, I would love, if I'm a Pelicans fan, to see a step up with the defense. That's kind of been something that's been ailing this team. And when teams do beat them, they're scoring 110 plus, and that's just something that you kind of don't want to be doing night in and night out, especially if you can't get that 3-point ball falling. But anytime Zion's being Zion, I think if you're a Pelicans fan, that's something you can definitely build on for the rest of the season.
What do you think the Saints locker room's like right now?
Not great. I've been a part of one really bad football team my last year in Cincinnati, and it's bad. It's no worse position that you want to be in, especially with a lot of these kids who just absolutely dominated in high school. Most of them went to a lot of solid football programs in college and won a lot of games, and to work so hard week in and week out to try to come in there and win, it's demoralizing. And that's why I say you get to this part of the season, guys are talking about their offseason plans. Where are you going? Let's link up here. And football's kind of on the back burner when you kind of go into some of these games, and those demons seep in when you go down early. Like, all right, here we go again. We're about to lose again, and it's just nowhere you want to be, especially when you're a team in the preseason where you feel like we should have a chance to make the playoffs and make a deep run. And though those plans kind of get thrown out the window, there's no worse spot you could be in as a football player.
So we'll ask Sharif now, because he's in that locker room from time to time. How is the Saints locker room now, Sharif?
Well, it isn't really good when you're 3-7, and you're starting to say we need to play with a sense of urgency after 10 games. I'll give Cam credit. He's been saying urgency since they lost their first or second game of the season. But it's just not right now. It's just a mess. I mean, you call a spade a spade. I mean, they're not a good football team. Tyron said it. Cam said it after the loss to the Steelers. That loss was awful. That's one of the worst losses I've seen in quite some time, because the Steelers, quite honestly, have the worst defense in the NFL. That should have never happened. Too many penalties, third down once again. Can't get off the field because of penalties. It's just continuing to trend the wrong direction. And man, there is no saving the season. I mean, we're just going to say the season's pretty much over. The Buccaneers are probably going to just run away with the division at this point.
That's what it feels like. So if that's the case, and that's what we talked about in the first hour here, I said, look, I understood sticking with Dalton early as Jameis got through injuries and he was moving the football a little bit, and the season was there to be saved, and you feel like you had a team that has some good pieces to it. Now you look at a season which very likely can't be saved, and the only way I think you can move forward as a franchise would be with Jameis Winston. Do you think that it would be reasonable to start Jameis moving forward?
Yes, and he had that interview last week with Mike Triplett, and he said he wasn't still fully healthy.
Yeah.
But I think he wants to play. If he's called upon, he should play, and that's the right move. They said Andy Dalton would continue playing as long as the offense was moving in the right direction. The last 2 games, it has moved backwards. And I understand the Ravens are a good defense. The Steelers are an awful defense. That was inexcusable against the Steelers. They couldn't do anything right. From the first snap of the game, they had a false start, and from there it went backwards. So, yes, it's time to move on from Andy Dalton. It didn't work. He went 2-5 as a starting quarterback. We already knew that he wasn't a good starting quarterback anymore. That's why the Bears didn't want him, Cowboys didn't want him, the Bengals didn't want him. We know what he was going to be. He's the backup quarterback now. So, yes, it's time to put Jameis Winston in just to see what you have with Jameis moving forward, and if he has to be the quarterback again next year, because the team is going to be in some cap issues and no first-round pick, of course, because they had 2 of them, and because of the Eagles gave them their pick. So, yeah, you got to throw Jameis in there. You got to get a spark. You got to find some kind of positive with this football team offensively.
Obviously, this is an organization that's kicked the can down the road and really tried to win now, season after season after season. And obviously, to this point, not the season you want to have, but you're still technically 2 games back of first place with the matchup against the Bucs. Do you think this is a team that's already given up, or do you think they're still going to try to make a run to try to win this division?
It's hard for me to say a professional team's giving up because they get paid tons of money. But just looking at the way they are playing, what gives anyone any hope or positive outlook that they can turn it around and win a bunch of games? Everyone's like, well, the Dolphins started 1-7 last year. And I was like, well, the Dolphins also had a starting quarterback last year. The Saints don't have a consistent starting quarterback. They're the most injured team in the NFL. Last year, they made it work with the most injuries ever in football history. They just can't make it work this year. It's just not working. I just have a hard time seeing the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers, even at 45, 46 years old, them slipping and falling that far back, and the Saints winning that many games in a row. I mean, they can prove everybody wrong, but right now, just the way they're playing, I can't be positive. I mean, about how bad they're playing. There's no way nor I could say that they're going to win the NFC South. That means the Saints sitting at 3-7 have 7 more games. They have to win out. Do you think they can win 7 straight games? That's going to be the question to me. It's no chance.
I do not. Okay, so then with the franchise, obviously you don't have a first-round pick right now. Is it reasonable to expect things to get better in the next year or two?
Look, that becomes a big question. If things don't progress this season, what do you do at coach? I mean, that's a real discussion you have to have. Will they go the Stan Van Gundy route after one season? They say, hey, this isn't working. We can't go backwards. We cannot be like we were 2005 and before that. We cannot trend there. Or do they say, hey, we need to reload. We need to maybe blow it up somewhat, be competitive, but kind of blow it up and get some more draft picks, trade some players, and look towards the 2024 season. They're going to have some kind of serious discussion, really, from the top to bottom, with the players and coaches. I mean, they took forever to, get it back to where it was under Sean Payton. I don't think they want to see it slip that far back again. So they're going to have some serious discussion. And there are players who are getting old, and they're going to have to see maybe shop some of those guys. I mean, that's just the realistic situation they're sitting in after this year.
Sharif Ishak, WDSU, is our guest here on Hunt and Hill. Let's switch over to the hardwood here with the Pels. It's kind of an up and down start. What have you seen?
Everyone wants to say, well, they were started off 1-12 last year. They're 7-6 right now through 13 games. I am very harsh. They're very harsh about the way they've been playing, and they know that they should be better than 7-6. They gave away at least 3 games. I realistically think that they should be 9-4, and they should be a top 4 or 5 team right now. I know it's a long season, but it just feels like there's always something wrong, through every game. Like that Rockets game was very frustrating. Watching them just melt away in the third quarter, an 18-point lead. So, got to find a way to be a little bit more consistent.
Obviously, a lot of high praise for the Pels going into this season, but kind of looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of this team, do you still think they can challenge possibly for that 3 or 4 spot in the West?
Yeah, of course they can. They are, I think at some point in time, they're going to be playing a bunch of healthy players together. And I know they're not going to use health as an excuse this year. They're not going to use playing 8 of the first 11 on the road as an excuse. I really do think they will at least contend for a top 60. I think the 50-win mark, like we talked about before the season starts, is still in play. So I really do think that they're going to be contending for that top 6 mark. And it's just going to be led by, I think, the most important player on this team and has to get it going with TJ McCollum. He is in a huge funk. He even admitted that his funk is out of somewhere he's never has had before. I mean, I just don't think he's healthy right now. That's just the way it looks. He just doesn't look like he's healthy. Some of the shooting performances he's had. So I think once DJ gets it going, Brandon gets it going, I'm not worried about Zion. He's gonna keep doing what he's doing, although he may not play tonight because of his foot sprain, ankle sprain.
Well, that'll be disappointing because it's a big spot for the Grizzlies coming in to play the Pels. Grizz 9-5 on the year. What's the energy level down there in New Orleans for the Pels right now?
It's high. It's high, and if you think the fan base, has a high expectation level each season for the New Orleans Saints, they have to have a high expectation for the Pelicans.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they should. I mean, if you are going to label yourself as a top 5 seed from here moving forward, you got to have the high expectations.
We'll see what they can do tonight. 6:30 tip on TNT. Sharif, thanks for the time, man. We'll do it next week.
All right, guys.
Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Come back and close it out. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with promo code 1045 ESPN.
Looking at that Grizzlies Pels line for tonight, 3.5. New Orleans is favored over under 229. FanDuel's got all your favorite bets, like the money line, the point spread. They got player props as well. Best part, when you win, you get paid fast. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN for your no sweat first bet. That's promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online enrollment wager. Only refund issues knowledgeable. Free bet expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you reach someone in gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care.
Round 2 of the Prep Football Playoffs, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview, presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and Archbishop Rummel kick off at 7, immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Shout out to our guests for hanging out with us. Sharif Ishak, Billy Embody, Glenn West, all making it work today on Hunt and Hill. Hope your Tuesday is going well. Going to be out at Pluckers Nicholson location. Sports trivia tonight. We'll have Kentucky, Michigan State, Duke, Kansas, Pels, and Grizzlies. Some action. It'll be a fun Tuesday night. So if you're looking for something to do, come on by. 8:30 is when we start. Get something cold to drink, something good to eat, and we'll crank it up. You can win some Pluckers gift cards and have a good time. Always look forward to heading out to Pluckers on a Tuesday night. All right, Mr. Hill, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty here. Stephen Malam. He inked this letter of intent with LSU baseball, who is one of the best infielders in the country, with him saying that he chose LSU because of his love for Alex Bregman, and he trusts in Jay Johnson to develop him into an MLB star. Are you taking or leaving? There's no recruiter better in the nation than our own JJ.
Sure, I'll take it. I mean, I don't know of anybody that's significantly doing better. There are obviously a lot of advantages to recruiting to LSU. There are a lot of advantages to recruiting other places in college baseball, but the amount of talent that Jay Johnson has brought in has been remarkable. I mean, there was a scout that said recently that he's been doing this 30 years and has never seen that amount of talent on a fall baseball field. So it's undeniable. That doesn't win you a single game in Omaha. That's Tennessee. But it's a good place to start, and they certainly played well on Sunday in Lafayette. They'll have the Purple and Gold World Series coming up in the chilly temps this weekend, and then they'll be done for the fall, and then we'll come back around middle of January, get them fired up for a big season. But yeah, he continues to bring in great classes. I don't know if Milam's going to make it to campus or not. We'll see, but it's a good start to get that letter of intent. Ty Cobb's bat from his rookie year sold for $1.07 million at a flannels auction on Sunday night. Get some Harold Perkins memorabilia lined up. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'm taking that. Unfortunately, we don't have any more Storm in the Field games lined up for us, so I was thinking maybe get a little towel, maybe get a little glove.
You don't think we'll rush it against UAB?
I don't know
about a Hail
about
Mary
that.
to win the
I
game?
don't know. I think probably be more sleep by the fourth quarter than Storm in the Field. But, yeah, something tells me a little Harold Perk merch will be worth a pretty penny in the future. So, yeah, hey. We got to get some Howard Perk merch. All right.
Yeah.
You're going to love this one. The number one golfer in the world, Rory McIlroy, spoke on what it would take for the PGA Tour and LIV Golf to circle together, with him saying it would only work if the situation has an adult and Greg Norman should step down. Greg Norman is an adult. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Greg Norman's awful. He's just a massive egomaniac who, and Rory's right, if there's ever any chance for LIV and the PGA Tour to coexist, then Greg Norman would have to leave. Now, the issue is that Greg Norman's only goal is to ruin the PGA Tour. Greg Norman doesn't care about golf in Saudi Arabia or growing the game or any of that garbage. He cares about destroying the tour for his glorification. That's what he wanted to do in the 90s. That's what he wants to do now. Period. He's not changing golf, not doing anything cool. He's just trying to destroy the tour. And the tour knows that. So, if the tour were to ever say, yeah, well, we can have some guys play in LIV events and come back, it'll never be when Greg Norman's around because he's impossible to deal with. So, that's a fact. Rory McIlroy's been spot on this thing, start to finish, the entire way. I'm glad there are some people with a backbone that are standing up to some of this stuff because that's what needs to happen. But yeah, it just makes me mad every time I think about it, quite frankly. Commanders quarterback Taylor Heineke took a little flavor from Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins after a big Monday Night Football win against the Eagles. Put all his teammates' chains on the plane while he was sucking down some Busch Lights on the flight back to D.C. Shirtless quarterbacks in chains. Take it or leave it.
Look, it's an epidemic sweeping the NFL right now, so I guess I'll take it. I saw my boy Pat P jumping in on the fun, 2 interceptions still in the game. Got Kirk jumping in on the fun. Now Heineke's in it. Like we've seen with the gritty, some of these teams kind of sweep the league by storm. Something tells me more quarterbacks. I don't know if Dak's going to get in on the action. I don't know if the Cowboys, they're probably going to start. No, I'm kidding. So I'm kidding. I'm not going to throw any low blows at your Cowboys, but I do see more quarterbacks jumping in on this little trend of guys putting all the jury on.
If you've been listening for 2 hours, I very much appreciate you for doing that. That's awesome. Most of our listenership does not listen for 2 hours, so they didn't catch our conversation at the end of the first hour, but we talked about this a little bit. Taylor Heineke has a trash can next to him full of ice and beer. And so that led me to go, okay, I like the thought here. You got a big win, want to have some cold beers on the flight back. I don't think Philly and D.C. are that far apart, so I Googled it. It's a 1-hour flight. My man had iced down like 6 or 7 cold pops for a 1-hour flight. That's getting it done. I mean, I guess these planes are pretty fun after you win a game.
Not in Cincinnati. It was pretty quiet. We had an owner that wasn't really too fond of much talking and much activities. No guys doing aerobics. No, chains on and shirts off. Didn't allow any card games. No gambling on the plane. He kind of just, if you wanted to sip a little beverage, kind of got a kind under the seat.
Oh my God,
put it
is
in
that
a cup.
true?
Yeah, man, it's the bingo way. I don't know how they're doing it now, but
That's
Mr.
why
Brown
you guys
was
stink all the time, Cincinnati.
no juice on the flight back. I don't care if you beat the Ravens. I don't care
Let
if
the
you just
boys have some fun after they get a big win.
Nah, man, we had to talk to the flight attendant. Hey, could you pick us up a little something, a little beverage for us to kind of pour into the coffee cup, maybe get a little
That's
sip
devastating news. If you're in Cincinnati and you go get a big win out in Oakland or something, you got a 4-hour flight back, get the boys some cocktails.
here. No, definitely not getting cocktails from the flight attendants. None of that's going on. You got to sneak it in the carry-on and,
That's
pour it under the table, maybe get a few sips. No one's looking. Go here.
That's just...
Oh, yeah. That's how we're
I
coming.
mean, I don't have to have a dance party, but I mean, if you guys want to play some cards, roll some dice, or have some drinks after they win. Now, if you lose, maybe you tell everybody to sit down and shut up.
Nah.
But if you win the game.
No way. No loud talking, no music being played. It's a very sleepy atmosphere on the flight back. But,
Like, even if after
Cincinnati.
you win the division or something?
Actually, when we won the division, we got hats in our lockers. On that next Monday. So that was pretty cool, I guess.
I mean, if I'm looking to negotiate my free agent landing spot and I'm about to sign some kind of 6-year deal, like, what do we do on the planes back here? We sit down and be quiet and drink Dasani? I'm out. I'm signing with Cleveland.
You can put the movie on if you want to. We had some. You can maybe watch Home Alone or something.
Absolutely.
That's a great series, right?
No, I want the ice chest with the beer. I want the Heineke trash can. Is what I want.
I would have loved that. That would have been great. We had some big road wins, man. We were 8-0 at one point.
Yeah,
we got to get something going a little bit.
That's
here,
why.
Different
We're
times,
getting to the bottom of this. That's why Cincinnati hadn't won a Super Bowl in decades. I get it. All right. That's going to do it here for us on a Tuesday. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Catch the on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It is all right there. We'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, rate, review. All that helps us out tremendously. Glenn West in hour number 1, Billy Embody on recruiting in hour 2, as well as Sharif Ishak on the Saints and Pels. We'll be back tomorrow with J.D. Piquel of 1-3 Sports, as well as Kendall Rogers talking fall baseball. Jimmy Ott's Game Time, 6 to 8 tonight. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, or see you at Pluckers tonight. It's Hunt and Hill.